So, AI agents. They're probably one of the most exciting, fast-moving things in AI right now. But let's be real, if you've been watching from the sidelines, they can seem super complex and technical. But here's the thing, they are way easier to understand than they look. In this explainer, we are going to break it all down, even if you have absolutely zero coding experience.
All right, let's just start with this simple question. What if you had a digital employee? I mean, something that could actually think for itself, remember what you've talked about before, and then go and take action to get things done, all on its own. This isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. It's the whole idea behind an AI agent.
Okay, so that's the cool idea. But here's the slightly more textbook definition. An AI agent is a system that can reason, plan, and act autonomously. It uses tools, it manages workflows, and, this is the most important part, it adapts. This is what transforms a piece of software from just a simple tool into that digital employee we're talking about.
All right, so let's really get into it. One of the biggest points of confusion is figuring out the difference between an agent and just plain old automation. And understanding this difference is absolutely key to getting why these agents are so powerful.
Think about automation. It's basically a fixed script, right? It always runs from point A to B to C every single time. Like you might get an email every morning that tells you the weather. It's useful for sure, but it's not thinking. An agent, on the other hand, reasons. If you ask it, hey, should I bring an umbrella today? It doesn't just follow a script. It dynamically uses a weather tool, it checks for rain, and then it decides what to tell you. See the difference? It adapts to the goal.
So how in the world does an agent pull all this off? It might sound super complex, but even the most advanced agents out there are built from the same 3 core components. Think of this as the basic anatomy of every single digital employee. And here they are. It really just boils down to 3 things: the brain, the memory, and the tools. That is it. This is the fundamental blueprint. Every agent you see, no matter how sophisticated it seems, is just a combination of these 3 parts working together. So let's break each one down. All right, first up you've got the brain. This is a large language model, or LLM, you've heard of them, like GPT-4, Claude, or Google's Gemini. The brain is the engine that does all the heavy lifting, all the reasoning, all the planning, figuring out what to say. It's the core intelligence of the whole operation. Next up is memory, and this is so important because it gives the agent context. This is how it remembers your past conversations, so it's not starting from scratch every single time you talk to it. Memory can also connect to external data, like your personal documents or a whole company database, which gives the agent a much deeper pool of knowledge to work with. And last but not least, you've got the tools. If the brain is for thinking, the tools are for doing. This is how the agent actually interacts with the outside world. This could be something as simple as sending an email with Gmail, or updating a Google Sheet, or even just searching the web. The tools are basically the agent's hands and feet.
Okay, so we've got tools, but how do they actually talk to other apps? How does an agent connect to Gmail? Well, this involves something called an API, which sounds really technical, I know, but we're about to make it incredibly simple.
And honestly, this is the best way to think about it. An API, which stands for Application Programming Interface, is just like a vending machine. You don't need to understand all the internal gears and wiring, right? You just need to know which button to press to get the snack you want. So let's just walk through this vending machine idea. First, you make a request. That's you pressing the button. In the digital world, this is usually a GET request to pull information or a POST request to send information. Second, the machine does its thing. The API processes your request behind the scenes. And third, you get a response. Your snack drops into the tray. The API returns the data or confirms the action was completed. That's all an API is. It's just a clean, simple way for different programs to interact. Okay, let's put all the pieces together. We've got the brain, the memory, the tools. Let's see what that looks like in a practical, real-world personal assistant. So check this out. Imagine a trail running assistant. Here's the blueprint. Step 1, a trigger kicks things off every morning. Step 2, it gathers data using its tools. It hits a weather API to check the forecast, and then it pulls a list of trails from a Google Sheet, which is acting as its external memory. Step 3, the brain, the LLM, analyzes all of that data. It's looking at the weather, the trail conditions, how much time you have. And finally, step 4, it acts. It uses its Gmail tool to write and send you a personalized email with the best trail recommendation for that day. It's a perfect, simple example of all 3 components working in harmony. All right, so now you get it, right?
You know what an agent is, how it's different from basic automation, and you know about the 3 core components that bring it to life. So now, let's shift gears from just knowing this stuff to actually creating something. What could you build with this?
And listen, the possibilities here are just massive. And these aren't some futuristic pie-in-the-sky ideas. These are real tools you can build right now. Imagine a social media manager that actually creates and posts content for you, or a research assistant that automatically goes out and pulls data from different sources. You could build a customer support agent, a travel planner, or an assistant that just organizes your messy inbox. Every single one of these is just a different combination of brain, memory, and tools. So look, the main takeaway here is that you now have the blueprint. You get the fundamental building blocks of a digital employee. You understand the core concepts. So the only real question left is the one right there on your